lie. A lot of people might say that space is the final frontier, but if you really look at it, what is space? A large collection of things floating through the open void. But if you look at psychology, it's kind of almost the same thing. Here's a human brain loaded with tons of synapses, neurons, memories, and yet as a psychologist, the most important thing is that you step back and you say, how do we understand what's really going on behind the scenes? What's really going on in this young person? What's really going on inside of the mind of a man or a woman? Where does it all begin? Where does it end? If you ask me, one human brain is probably about as dense than the entire cosmos in one go.
Namaste. I'm philosopher Broham. I'm a self-appointed self-help guru. I like to study Freud, Skinner, Jung, the collective consciousness, the firing of neurons, going synapses for connecting us with our ancestors from the past. You know, when I'm involved in engaged listening with my clients, we're making so many connections, like it's just me and them. We're just active on another plane of existence, like another reality. It's like the brain is a computer and it's just processing terabytes at milliseconds. It's like...
Let's talk about the big five now. 5 basic characteristics, personality types, which define most people. Let's start off with neuroticism. This is a lot like your George Costanza from Seinfeld. Hostile personalities, a lot of pent-up rage and aggression type, that sort of thing. It's not something that you want. Next we have conscientiousness. This is like, you know, how good are you at showing up on time, and you know, how well can you manage your time? Are you clean? Are you neat? Your openness to experience. This is basically defines how curious you are. Are you willing to, you know, peel back that layer and look at what's underneath? Are you willing to hop in the car and just fly on down to Vegas for a weekend with the boys at the drop of a hat? Hey, I've done that before. It's a pretty good time. Next we have extroversion. This would be how outgoing you are. You know, are you willing to meet new people? Go on down and say, hey, what's up? And just connect with people and just interact in social environments well. This is actually a good thing to have typically. Lastly, we have agreeableness. How flexible are you? How open are you to trying new things and taking on different ideas? Now it's time to talk about Freud's psychosexual stages. They're an interesting way to look at things, but a lot of people speculate that he projected a lot of his own problems on it. From the age of 0 to 1, what you have is the oral phase, when the 0 to 1 year old is chewing on things, nibbling on things. And if you don't get past that stage, you're gonna have weird hang-ups about maybe you're a smoker, you like to chew gum. Next is my personal favorite stage, the anal phase, and it deals with potty training. I personally have gone through this a lot, and as a very young child, I ended up smearing a lot of feces and expressing myself through the waist. It was actually a pretty big problem for me, but it isn't anymore. I'll tell you that much. Next, you have the phallic phase, which is when you're goofing around with your genitals and whatnot. That's from the age of 4 to 5. It's pretty much everybody probably has it. Then you have the latency period from 6 to 12, and it doesn't really have anything to do with anything. You're just kind of latent. You're not going to get any weird bedroom hang-ups if you goofed off too much during this phase. Not a lot is to be ashamed of. Finally, we're going to have the genital phase, which is basically puberty on. And that's when you're start thinking about bedroom things. Well, I gotta light my pipe. Now it's time to talk about something special. Gender. Back in the day, well actually in general, you'll find that a lot of people confuse gender with sex, but they're not equal. First off, you have intersex, then you have a boy and a girl. But what about in the real world? We don't fit right into these categories. Some people might be in the middle, some people might be over here, others might be over there, other people might not be either at all. So at the end of the day, just like sexuality in Kinsey's study, we as a people are very hard to put into boxes when it comes to our self-identities, our units, our packages, and most of all, our self-identity. Probably the biggest problem with mental health in general is just the stigma of it. I mean, here we have these people with these disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, and instead of just like going out saying, hey, I need help, throwing themselves at the altar of the greats, Jung, Skinner, Freud. Instead of doing that, we have these young people going out and committing crimes and ending up in jails. And because of that, because of that simple fact, prisons have become by far the biggest mental health facilities in all of the United States. It's completely outrageous.